Hey there, it's Chris, and welcome back to the Final Fantasy V mid project here, where over the course of the last week we took a nice 6-inch wooden sphere and we've basically transformed it into an amalgamation of the world map of Final Fantasy V. Where if we look kind of on the side there, if we look at our continents on the side, we have our southern continent here, our northern there, as we can see over there. Then we got the other side. We carved everything down, and we kind of put a weird, more hatch job than mountain range job in here. It's more like a 3D hatching if you're into drawing stuff, but it kind of got the effect across. That said, I did go, since the last session, I went over it one more time to kind of deepen some of these crenulations to make it actually look a little more textured, I guess. I was about to say mountainous, but it still doesn't look mountainous, it just looks more textured. And today we're going to start adding a little bit of color to this. So, although, looking at that, color is kind of an interesting word to use because it does kind of become a muddy mess in the end, if only because when this whole project is done, they want to draw your eye towards Mid himself rather than the globe itself. But before we do that, we need to break out our friend the primer so that our paints have something to hook into. And that said, looking over it, we do have a nice collection of greens this time. I know one of the main problems I had with the Bang Shishigami one was when it came time to painting, and his outfit is all green. I only had one shade of green to work off of, so it's not the same shade he has in the game. It worked out really well in the end, but I went ahead and I got myself a number of different shades now we can go from on this. It'll make life a little easier. I don't have to mix as much stuff to make that work. But being as this is a sphere and I want to be able to go around, if I'm priming, it's going to be probably rolling around places. Let's go and give it a little bit of a stand right now. So I went ahead, found the bottom of the world, and I put a mark on here. I put a little mark on there where I kind of want to make just a little dowel so you can kind of stand in here. Because if you can see, again, looking at this, it's not a mark directly in the pole sitting down. It's actually kind of like the Earth. It does have that little bit of a tilt to it. So I'm just going to give this a little bit of a tilt as well. And we're going to come back, at least temporarily speaking, because I don't know exactly how that's being hooked together. Just going to come back with our friend, the 1/8-inch dowel over here, which is still probably going to be really, really hard to cut. But we're gonna do it. Let's give ourselves some extra. This thing can be popped up as high as it wants. That's fine. Oh, I should have cut this thing off camera. Once again, these snips are not made for doing this, but we got it done. Okay, so that's going to go in here. This will not turn into a finished block in the end. I figure because I don't know what's going on with that, I might as well save that for later. So let's go get made a little X on here. Our X marks the spot. You can see some good hard-hitting action there. Probably should not go right into my table. Okay, so we got that. It's tilted over a little bit, but that should be... You're not going down all the way. My drill has gone down. Yeah, my drill is going down further than that. This thing should... This should sink in. Okay, that's feeling a little better. And on here, we have... Our goal here is to go as straight up. Now, if this isn't where my point is going to be on the final model, that's fine. This is going to be a small enough hole that I can change this as need. I can always patch it and change it as need be. That is a hollow-ish kind of sphere. Okay, wasn't expecting that. Oh boy. Get in there. You were missing the action. It does not want to. This is a very hollow sphere. This is a very, very hollow sphere. Okay. But it's, as we can see, it is at least up a little bit, but that's going to, okay, it's technically not hitting the ground, which is what we want. I was hoping for a little more space than that, but we aren't hitting the ground, and that's fine. Let go. Doesn't want to let go. Ay, ay, ay. Can one of these two parts let go? That would be awesome. Okay, so almost no part of this is working the way I wanted it to. Alright, let's go ahead and make this a little bigger so we can actually have this thing sitting up a ways. Because I would like to have this as a temporary holder too for when we do the next phase of having like the orbits and all that going around. And I didn't anticipate this thing being as hollow as it is. So there's that. And I figured I was going to be like halfway done priming by now. We could move on with life. But that's not the case. Okay, so I have you in there. Let's see if we want to, let's see if we can find, okay, there's the southern hemisphere. Okay, we're in. And we're in. Okay, this is more like what we want. We're now at least popped up here. It's holding itself. That's what we're going for. This will make the next steps much, much easier. Because now I can paint around the thing and not have to worry. I knocked over all my paints. Don't care. All we're doing is priming right now. I mean, this is not the hardest part. This doesn't have to be the neatest part. It doesn't have to be any. It's primer. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is get this kind of southern part primed, then we can flip it over and do the other side. But we're going to make it look as white as it looks outside my window right now, because we just got a lot of snow, which is awesome. Things like snow days and whatnot are still just like the guilty pleasure. You never really outgrow that as you get older, except it's a weekend, so no snow day right now. But we also have all the holidays coming up, so we shouldn't really have to think about that kind of thing. I am really glad I got my fourth run of the week I did on Monday. I did a Monday, Tuesday rather than the Saturday, Sunday. That was part of my original plan. Just because the previous week I had a 6-day work week, so I wound up with a 4-day work week this one to kind of make up for it. So I used that one because it would be really awkward trying to go out running today. I'm also really kind of glad these faster runs are done, because my body doesn't like doing those as much, I feel like, as it used to. I don't know if I ever did really like doing the super kind of, the quick ones, but ooh, they wipe me out afterwards, for sure. So, got the 2 weeks of fast, got my 4 in this week, and next week we start our, or at least, I guess as you're watching it, I'm currently starting the Zone 2 stuff this week, because I believe this goes out on Thursday, and this is being recorded on Sunday. So, wow, this brush is terrible. This is also one of those, the like 25 brushes for $5 deals. So, not a uber surprise on that. But no, I did the run like maybe middle of the day yesterday, and 4.5 miles at wound up being sub 720 pace, which again I've been expecting kind of 720 to 725, so a little quicker than what was on the docket when I kind of first was anticipating what I was going to be able to do for these. But that thing wiped me out for the rest of the day, and it feels really bad. Something at that length, at that speed, shouldn't. But 718 mile for 4.5 miles should not just like wreck me. But as we get further into the season, that's going to become easier and easier to handle and not be wrecked after. So stuff to look forward to. That said, on this, the goal today is get this primer coat. Get kind of maybe, I'm probably going to do a wash of a lighter kind of green or green-blue on top of everything. Just have that will probably be as far as today's goes. And then the next session, we're going to start adding really all of the color to this. And okay, we have a lot of this bottom part is in there. So now we can go slide you on here. If you want to get in the hole, that would be awesome. Doesn't want to get in the hole. Oh, hey. All right, we're in the hole. Nope, can't see what's going on. I said I am really happy the finger is kind of doing what it's doing, but yeah, I think it's just going to be a while. It's going to be a long time before that looks normal. I am encouraged by the fact that it seemed, I think the fingernail is growing. So that's an indication I'm not going to lose the fingernail that I have, which should also take an extremely long process to go through of having it have to regrow back. So I think we're going to be able to keep that. But it's just going to, like I said, it's going to look ugly for a long time because black and blue stuff takes long enough to go through as it is. Add to the fact that it's underneath the fingernail, and yeah, it's just gonna be like that for quite some time. But okay, we're getting our snowy planet going here. I'm still a little apprehensive on what the next stage is going to look like when we start doing the orbit stuff. Part of me says it's going to look like a gigantic train wreck, but there is still hope it's going to turn out well. I've never had to really do an astrolabe before, so yeah, I'm not 100% sure how it's going to be. But again, this is why I'm doing the process and the journey and not just the destination, because we're going to be learning stuff together as we go, and that's just going to be what it's going to be. No surprise here, trying to get the primer into these mountain ranges is not the easiest thing in the world, but we're getting it done. I'm looking over the computer, making sure I'm still on camera and still actually recording. We don't want to miss this. But yeah, thankfully we got all the decking done. We did do that during the week, so at least now that if there's snow on the ground, we do have decking done, and we do have the benches and whatnot are built into it. I don't have half the deck is just straight up benches, half has like backs on the seats and whatnot too. We don't have that. We don't have the fencing stuff going around it yet. So we're not 100% done, but at least as the snow comes down, we have the main stuff. We have all the safety kind of railings are in. We have the actual material is laid on the ground, so you can walk around anywhere, you're not falling over things. At least it's safe, but it might be a day or two before we're able to get back over there to actually finish things off. But that's right. I think we do have enough stuff to do from now until the holiday time. So it's kind of derpy finishing off little things. It's not any big woohoo kind of projects. But because again, very few people actually start projects at this time of year. December is usually either, when it comes to work stuff, either in a mad dash to get everything done, or it's a really, really slow month. And this year's a little on the slower side. We're busy the whole time, but it's not a mad dash to get things done like it sometimes is. Although it is fun working outside when it's like 30-something degrees as the high of the day. That's fantastic. Although I was laughing because on Friday I spent probably half the day with a jacket. It's like the high of the day was like 35, and I have half the day with my jacket's off because it's just the sun is just reflecting off of the synthetic surface. And it's like, well, my brain is saying this is a dumb idea, but it just feels so good. Until you get to about that like 2:30, 3 o'clock time, and all of a sudden the sun just drops enough in the sky that it just kills everything. Then it's like all of a sudden instantly the temperature drops like 10, 15 degrees. You're like, nope, jacket's going back, hat's going back, gloves are going back. We need all this stuff now. Get over here. That said, I have figured out this finger does not like to get cold. Because we wound up with a bunch of extra boards in the end, and so we're going to kind of move them out of the way at the end of the day. And funny enough, it's kind of rained earlier in the week, and you would think if you have a stack of boards, the ones on top would be drenched and the ones underneath wouldn't be. And that's not the case. The water kind of works its way under the boards, and as you go lower and lower in the stack, they got wetter and wetter. So we're moving the boards, and I'm wearing gloves because I'm a ding-dong. Also because it's 30-something degrees, so I kind of want gloves on. But yeah, no, the gloves become drenched, the hands become drenched with like this freezing water in there. And I guess because I have all the extra blood or whatnot behind this nail, and liquids expand slightly when they freeze, that once I got like that ice water kind of on top of that finger, oh wow, that hurt. So note to self, if you have a black and blue mark like that, putting freezing anything on it does not feel good. You're like, we gotta warm this up. This is why I'm glad I always have multiple sets of gloves on me at any point in time. It's funny, my feet usually get cold first, but usually I'll have multiple sets of gloves on. I will always have in my pockets of the work jacket there a working set of gloves and a warm set of gloves this time of year. So I can always kind of swap between them as need be. Oh, wow, I needed that warm set afterwards. It was not good times for a few minutes. For the few minutes it took to warm that back up. All right, we're getting there. We are going places, getting things done. We're almost at the top here. I definitely was not expecting this to be as hollow as it was. That might make certain details I'm doing later on interesting as it comes to the astrolabe, in terms of having to have the parts coming out to hold the wires. So there might be a little trial and error at the start of that session when it comes up, in terms of how to structure it nicely. But we're gonna, as we say, work a number of times, we're going to get to that when we get to that. We're going to deal with what I can deal with right now, and let's try to make this look both pretty and not pretty at the same time, because again, this isn't an area that's supposed to draw your eye at the end of all this. So there's going to be that. What are we doing on time right now? So it takes about 20 minutes to do this, which is fine. Yeah, I'll do this. I'm going to disappear real quick and do a quick wash over everything of maybe like the ocean color or whatnot. And then we'll start adding other colors on top of that in the following session. You can see that I'm getting stuff on top. Oh, and I should probably stand up too so I can see what I'm doing when I'm doing up top. Might be helpful. Oh, get that little piece. I see a little piece of land. Get it? Okay, there we go. Alright, and with that, for you, just a moment or two is going to pass. For me, I'm going to let this sit here and dry for a little while. And let me get some of these. I definitely had a couple spots didn't get 100% in there, but not super concerned. We're doing it. We're turning my finger white. Okay. So we now have a white globe. And listen, I'm just going to disappear for just a moment or two. And when I come right back, we're going to start painting this thing. So hang tight. Hey, and we're back. As you can see, our little snow globe here slash lollipop thing is now all hardened. It's good. It's dried. That's the word I'm going for. And our next step, now that this is done, is I was going to do just a wash over everything, but I think I'm just going to I'll separate the land from the ocean. I'm going to do one quick coat on the ocean of this beach glass color, and one quick on the land with the olive green. And if they're right, if they're wrong, it's not going to matter. There's going to be another coat that goes on top of things. But I think this will give a good, decent kind of first start. I think this is probably closer to what I want. I might need to add a little bit of white to this in the end to kind of tone it down to match the image there on the side. But, yep, let's go and get this going. That said, let me move the camera here so it's not falling off the table. I didn't realize it's a three-legged stand. I had one leg of the stand was literally kind of falling off the table there. That's a whoops. Alright, you can tell these are brand new because I haven't taken the plastic off. Where is... Oh, there we go. Alright, there we go. I didn't take the plastic off. I did shake them, so at least they should be good on that front. But let's see. We need to get this camera far enough away that we can kind of see what's going on. Does that work? I think it kind of works. Where you hot over. Starting on ocean, I guess. And unlike before, I don't really need to... Wow, this thing is on pretty well. I don't really need to go from the cap anymore. I can just straight up come from here. And if we're doing this, I should probably get the underside first. Let's just bring you down. Once we hook it back up, this will be a little easier. And once again, if I get stuff on the land, that's fine. If I miss a couple little things, that's fine. Because again, this is... I kind of want to give a little bit of a watercolor-ish kind of look, or kind of wash over everything in the end anyway. So although this coat might be cut in a little bit nicer, we may get a little bit of a rougher kind of look as we get further along into this. I'm not sure... I'm not 100% sure how this is going to visually turn out in the end. But looking forward to get this going. Then once this recording is done here, I need to go outside while it's nice and daylight and there's still enough daylight left in the end to actually brush off my truck and get the snow and all that off, so if the sun comes out it can help melt the rest of the stuff I need to do on that. So I definitely have some work I need to do today. Not super tricky work, but I do have some things on my list that I really should accomplish. We're in that time of year. This type of stuff is expected to be on the list for any number of days of the year. And I really don't feel like doing it tomorrow morning when I have to get up for work and then go and spend way too much time trying to brush all that off and making it look good. Which I will say, for the last 17 years, or almost 18 years, I had a Ranger, was my truck. I bought that one brand new a long time ago when I first kind of started working, and yeah, I had that one for just about 18 years, and I finally upgraded to an F-150 this year. And I will say, it was a whole lot easier reaching everything when it comes to scraping windshields and all that on the Ranger. I kind of wish I was like an inch or two taller, because just trying to get the ice off like the center of the windshield now and whatnot, it doesn't work very well. I know I keep an ice scraper in my car all year long. I never take it out. I have one, just like one of the little ones I keep on the door. I do have another one with like the stick and whatnot on the end to help push, like a snow broom / ice scraper to kind of use for the bigger stuff. But at the end of the day, what I really need to keep in my truck is like a little one-step step stool that I can use. I can reach the middle of my windshield. It's one of those. It's embarrassing, but yeah. One of the realities of being the height that I have. I'm statistically average height. I'm statistically average, but I kind of wish I was just a teeny bit taller so I could do that just a little bit easier. But, oh well, such is life. Alright, trying not to grab areas I literally just painted. Alright, well, by this point I can probably insert this thing. Let me get a little bit around this island. It looks like it's the lowest kind of point on here when I reinsert this giant snowball / lollipop onto its stand. Well, temporary stand. That is very much not the permanent. I'm still not sure how I want to play the permanent part, but I figure I have some time to figure it out. I'm going to have this session plus the next one for painting, and then I need to figure it out kind of by then. But I do have some time. Okay, we're close enough. Get you. Oh, still kills me, this thing. It's not pine. That's what kind of kills me is this. I'm very much used to working with pine, and this is a denser wood, so it has the same weight is what I was kind of expecting it to be a full-fledged kind of sphere out of wood, but it's a denser wood, so this hollow cavity in the middle is just, it's throwing me off. I wasn't expecting that. Or at least if it is hollow, not that much of a hollow cavity. Do we need to be as high now? Could do something like that. It is very different actually just doing a painting or doing any kind of painting right now, even though we're on week 2 and we're painting. Usually I'm just about kind of finishing off the blank form on a figure so they look like a human before I start actually detailing out. So in terms of speed right now, this is going considerably faster than most other projects I've done. That said, there's going to be a whole lot more complication stuff going into this one, starting somewhat soon. So I'm still not sure if this is going to be a faster project than the last couple, a slower project than the last couple. I'm really not sure how this one's going to play itself out in the end. I also know that when I cut in some of this stuff later on, I might be using a smaller brush for some of these little kind of areas. But again, for a first coat and just kind of going for a rough, just get paint on here, I'm not super concerned. Although this is kind of looking halfway decent. I'm okay with this so far. Oh, this has all little skinny spots, which is going to be all the mess for this brush, but yeah. Sometimes it is what it is. Oh, I'm looking forward to doing my workouts this week because we don't get into like above freezing, I think, for a few days. So whatever snow we have on the ground is going to kind of be there. And although, again, doing the Zone 2 really slow runs is nice, I don't really need to worry about black ice as much if I'm going slower. I can see it coming up a little bit easier. However, if you're on unsteady ground, you wind up using more energy than you think just keeping balance and whatnot, and that's going to help pop the heart rate up a little bit. I know it. So trying to maintain a Zone 2, trying to start when I did on the first week where we went from November to mid-January weather was fantastic. And now trying to start a Zone 2 thing when we have snow and stuff on the ground also kind of seems like a winning power play. So this is a good season so far. It's going to be a good fitness season coming up. I can feel it. There's a sign. Sometimes you just get that sign that, yeah, this is going to be the one. This has got to be it. Oh well, here's what it is. We'll deal with it. We'll make it through. We do still have to get back to that deck though and finish it, but that's not too bad. All we need to do is bring a couple shovels, and it doesn't take much to clean off what we need to clean off to get back to work. And even then, we should be done in like a day or two once we get back. Probably 2. So it will be done by Christmas. That's the important part. Not that the owner has already expressed surprise that we're there right now finishing. They thought we were going to come back in the spring and do it. So they were already pleasantly surprised that it's getting done. But like I said, this time of year is that's just kind of what my profession is this time of year. You're either backed up with other things, or like right now we have the free time to do it because nobody's going to start the next project until January anyway. So now would be a time to finish off stuff like this. Alright, we're almost done with this greenish looking ocean color. Was that ocean? That's not ocean, that is land. Alright. Yeah, I do like that it has that greenish look. We definitely need that kind of greenish look, because that is pretty much what all of this stuff is, just so when we get to mid, who is going to be the very last thing we do, we're going to get that splash of color. It's going to make it all work. So, like I said, this whole project may look a little funky until we get to mid himself, and then all these colors are going to start to pop in the way that they're supposed to pop. Although right now I am kind of liking this color just as is, but I'm expecting as we keep going on this, it's going to look a little funky until we get to that final stage. Okay, there we go. We have oceans in here. We have big old lake things going on in here. Looking at my screen as I rotate this beautiful, beautiful globe here. And yeah, I think it's doing what it needs to. It's serviceable. It's doing its job. If it gets streakiness and whatnot in there, I'm not super concerned. That should be okay. Ugh. 1 second, I forgot to take the paper towel out from before and put it right next to me so I could dry this thing off correctly. So give me 1 second and I'm going to be right back. That is not a paper towel. Are any of these things paper towels? Okay, that's good. And we know these are these high quality brushes when I go to dry it off, and I just pull the head right off. So awesome. That's what we get for getting the cheapy stuff. But we knew it was going to happen. Okay, so now we go to landmass. Landmass, we have this olive green. And I'm saying it out loud, so if I ever need to come back to these colors, I know exactly what I'm dealing with. Because if I ever want to go back to my straw project that I had started before, is one of the very first woodworking ones I've done, was the Final Fantasy XII airship, the straw. And I know I used 7 colors. Of those 7, I know what one of them is. And it's the least important one because it was kind of the visor on top of the whole, or the front of the cockpit there, which is already now model done, and that was the only part that was going to... Okay, this doesn't want to come off. Oh, come off. Come off. You can do it. I believe. Okay, once again, we get these bottom areas. I'm using a brush that's probably way too big for this. You know, I can get a better brush than that. I can get a better brush than that. Oh, what do we have in here? I don't mind using these really bad. I can use... I know it's going to take a little longer. I'm going to use a smaller one to get some of these areas here. Boop. Oh, baby. Oh, these mountains just soak it up. I was hoping the primer was going to help with that. Not as much as I thought. Not as much as I thought. Alright, well that's fine. Come on, get in there. Once again, if we get this stuff on the water, that doesn't really matter so much if we get the water on this stuff. The important part is just kind of covering up the primer. As long as we kind of do that, we're fine. I just don't like seeing the white from the primer. That said, second coats and whatnot, yes, we want to be a little nicer, but just for these first coats, it doesn't matter as much. Alright, get in there. Get in the spot. Here we have just... Am I doing... Yeah, I'm getting some stuff on my mat. Whatever, it's an older mat. It can have some quote-unquote battle scars on it. I'm not uber concerned. It's a cutting mat. It's like a 25-year-old cutting mat. This was, I believe this is the one I used back in college. Actually, I'm pretty dang sure this is the one I've used back in college, because I don't think I ever got myself a new one since then. So it's okay if it's seen some things. It's like my hammer. It's okay if that hammer has seen some things. It has its battle scars. I've had that thing for ever since my second summer working at the job I'm now working full time at. Because I did 2 summers in college working where I'm working now. And in the first summer, I went and bent the handle on the first hammer I had. And so I had to go and get another one. Because a bent head doesn't work very well. There's one nail that just did not want to come out of a wall. And it beat my hammer, which is pretty impressive in a way. So some of the things I use are either a little bit on the older side or do have a bit of a history, but they get the job done, and that's kind of the important part. As long as they get the job done, it's all good. Okay, and I think with this we have enough of the southern part of this that I can stop putting marks on the ground. Okay, let's get some of this off the hand. We in there, and now we can start spinning this guy as we go. Spin, spin. Can we see what we're doing on camera? Kind of. Yeah, like I said, for this coat we're just doing all landmass in this one color. When I come back and do mountains, I'll probably add a little brown or something to it. And we're going to see if we can kind of get that. I maybe try to go and get like that watercolor kind of effect on here, put some washes on it and kind of. That said, my experience with actual watercolor painting is one class, a single session back when we were kind of required to take art my freshman year of college. So it's been 24 years since I've done anything with watercolor, and that was a single session. That class was probably an hour long, and that was it. No, it's probably an hour and a half. I believe that was a Tuesday, Thursday class. So we had to have an hour and a half session for it. Okay. As long as you don't look at the cut-ins on this, they're rough. But as long as you don't look at that, it's all good. But again, this is one of those when you know when you have to be neat about things and you know when you don't have to be neat about things. This is just a first coat on something that's going to have kind of washes and stuff going over it. I'm not concerned with the detail stuff on this particular coat. We will get to a point where it comes. We're just not there yet. Okay, that's it. I'm kind of moving my head around a little bit to see what I need to do, so I'm hoping you can see what I'm doing, because your camera is a little more fixed. And I'm looking at my watch, and this one's actually going to wind up being kind of the typical hour that I've been going over for the last 2 projects. But it would be nice to get this thing in a kind of finished state so you can kind of see what it looks like at that point. Because I don't think it's looking too bad. I think it's getting the point across. Whoa, put too much paint on there. Too much paint on the brush. Although it did make the mountains easier. Alright, so we have those continents done. I should have just done a little bit more on this to get this underside kind of finished. Whatever. We in there now. Now we have a whole bunch of little skinny stretches of land to go, and then we are good. Which means we have a lot of cutting in on these areas. Very bad cutting in, but cutting in. Just make sure we get the white. Just get the primer covered on the edge. It was funny just the other night on some of the streams I had in the background when I was doing my reading. One guy was playing the Final Fantasy VI, and one guy was playing Final Fantasy IV, which were 2 and 3. If you want the US versions, which I have very big nostalgia for those games. And Final Fantasy VI was the original Super Nintendo version, whereas Final Fantasy IV was the Pixel Remaster one that just came out. I forget if it was this year or last year, where they kind of updated all the graphics, the music, and all that. And man, I got huge nostalgia for the Final Fantasy VI one, but the 4, just like they changed the music, like with just changed music, changed graphics, and all that. It just, I don't know, it just wasn't the same. Maybe I've gotten used to the way things are. It's like it was over orchestrated in the end, and just sometimes things just don't feel right when you see something redone. Sometimes you just kind of want to see things redone, and sometimes it just felt like it was too much. I don't know, maybe I'm weird that way. But nostalgia itself, I find, is just kind of one of those odd things to deal with. Because, yeah, some things you do want to see is kind of brought back into see how somebody can reimagine things, but at the same time, the second somebody does, it's like, oh, it's not the same. And you hate being that guy going, it's not the same, but at the same time, it's not the same. Yeah, they're both going to go back to them later on in the week. I'll probably catch them in the background too, because again, usually if I'm reading stuff online or catching news or any of that, I will have something playing in the background, just as background noise. I like having background noise kind of stuff. Most people will probably play music or whatnot in the background. I just like having streams kind of on, and you can follow along as somebody just kind of goes through. And even then, it's less about the streams themselves and more just kind of like this, just somebody chatting away, just kind of going with how the day is, going with what the experiences are going through. Partly it's on whatever medium they're doing, partly it's just a place to hang out and chill and just kind of turn your brain off for a little bit. But yeah, I don't know, it's just a little rough with half my brain going, this is interesting, the other half going, ooh. Give me the original. I like the original. Alright, where are we going here? Yeah, so there's a gigantic contrast between these. I do believe the next coat of paint we're going to be doing is going to be a little darker on the water and a little lighter on the land. And we're going to mix our self somewhere between these two. But again, we wanted to do this just to get a coat of something on here, even if it's just an undertone, to then base the next off of. Yeah, I think, just looking at the picture, the water is further off than the land is. Although, no, they're both very far off. They need to match almost 100%, like right in the middle of where the two of them are. But that's okay. I didn't feel like mixing anything today either. I just wanted to get a straight paint on here just to kind of get it started. So next time I can go and actually do some mixing like I usually do, and we'll make it all work. How are we doing on time? We actually will get this done kind of in a reasonable time because we're almost there. Because basically this is it now. I need to break my browns back out again, kind of mix it into here, kind of muddy this whole thing up. Get that white, get that little white spot. We don't want white spot bad. Nobody wants to see primer in a finished product. I think on its own, these colors actually kind of work, but for the overall effect we're going to be getting at the end of this whole thing, I think that's just where it doesn't. Not muddy enough. Color's too stark. Alright, almost there, almost there, almost there. Just have this easternmost edge of the easternmost continent. And we in there. We have at least first coat on everything, a primer and first coat. Think of how much faster the Kai Shulin project would have been if I had done primer and first coat of everything in that very first session. Wow, that would have been amazing. That would have finished the entire painting process on camera instantly. There's going to be a lot more painting going on in this one. Believe me. Although this is still the single biggest element that's going on the whole thing. Just as a physical size. So, but still. Painting the wires on the astrolabe part's going to be entertaining. Okay, that is where we are. Let me go get a little water on this brush so it doesn't do bad things to me. Yep, sorry, I know you're staring at that. I'm cleaning my brush out. I'm going to be right with you in a second. And alright, so that's where we stand right now. We have a very planet-looking planet. It's way too nice and neat looking. Excuse me, it's way too nice and neat looking. So next time we're going to transform this into the muddy image we have over there. And it's going to be great. Or not. We're going to deal with that next time. But yeah, now we can see just how kind of cool we are on this. And yeah, until then, and until next time, I'm going to go and shovel out my truck while you can go ahead and enjoy.